2023 meeting of the Municipal Building Commission to order at 5:30. For the record, we have Jackie Romanicki, Jerry Freecott, Jay Allard, and myself. Therefore, we do not have a quorum, so we cannot take any official votes. What I think we probably will do with regard to the bills is go over them, and I have the authority to sign them, and then we can ratify at the next meeting that we have. Also, I sent an email and did not get a response today to the Council on Aging feasibility architects. I copied you and the mayor saying we were looking at potentially a special meeting on the 27th.
27th.
And so even though your agenda says our next regular meeting is October 4th, I think, yeah, which is here, we may have a special meeting on the 27th at the Zito Room to go over that.
And Jack, because we don't have a quorum tonight, we may want to call for a special meeting earlier to essentially finalize police roof documents to then potentially go out to bid.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that maybe Mason can poll the group and see if we can have a meeting next Wednesday to officially take votes and to make sure we get the police roof out to bid. And then the last thing is, I know that on the public safety feasibility study, they're working with the fire chief on the response times. I don't know if they will be ready to make a presentation on the 27th or if that will be into October. But I know they're working diligently on that. So, and just to keep cleaning things up, Mark Zawatsky, do you want to talk to us briefly about the gym floors?
Certainly. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Municipal Building Commission. Mark Zawatsky, 13 Half Mile Road, Barrington, Rhode Island. Okay, with regard to the gym floors at Hill Roberts and Hyman Fine, both of those schools have beneficial use and occupancy, and they're using the gym floors for their intended purpose. The contractor is owed $131,033.85. If you're writing that down, 131,033.85. And they had submitted a May requisition, end of May 2023, for that amount, which was their final requisition, including retainage. And that was subject to Socotec's review of the closeout documents and warranties. Those documents have been in Socotec's possession for a couple of months now, at least, and and because of change of project management at Socotec, Andrew Barr was the one who was supposed to be reviewing them and certifying the application for payment. I've had a series of email exchanges. He indicated as late as today that he thought that they were fine, but he would verify for tonight's meeting. Obviously, neither the Socotec representatives, because of a mix-up, are not in attendance. So if you do have a special meeting, whether it be next week or thereafter, we'll certainly address this issue with the Socotec team, have them, if all the documents are in fact correct, have them certify that application for payment, and then submit it to the MBC for your review and action. So I just want to bring you up to speed. The projects appear super close, and we're holding a ton of money on the completion, on the closeout documents and warranties. So that's my report for the school gym floors project. As it relates to the roof replacement and building envelope repairs at the police station headquarters, over there somewhere, right there, I'll bring you up to speed. So Socotec was engaged in the month of June, and they prepared a DD, or Design Development Package, and they had submitted it to the city and myself on August 11th. I reviewed that. I generated a 5-page memo and had meeting with city staff, and I finalized my memo to include the feedback that was received, and I transmitted it to Socotec. And then on 8/18, via Zoom, Mason, myself, and representatives of Socotec addressed the 5-page memo and all the content questions, all the calendar issues, timelines, the process and the procurement, and all of the items having to do with that memo. And there were, 30 or 40 items in it. So they worked diligently from 8/21 through the end of the month to make all of those revisions. They revisited the site. They documented and took additional field investigations and observations, and they presented an updated design development package on September 1. Along with the cover letter and the updated drawings. So you see the package dated here. This new DD package dated September 1st that's on the screen and that I understand is in your position, I've reviewed it. I believe it's a really good DD package, and I'm satisfied that they have addressed and were good partners in hearing what we had to say, why we had to say it, and the purpose and intent of trying to put together the best DD package possible. Now, they do have a calendar, and their calendar within this document, it's on page 22 if you wanted to scroll to it, has some, while I said it's a good DD package, it's not a perfect DD package. Their timeline is a little off. And if you want to make it bigger. So here we are today at the DD set. They say that they want to have a bid permit set to the city by September 20th, put a notice to the Central Register, and be out to bid on 10/4, have a pre-bid meeting here, and then general bids due. So I'm going to talk about this and where the MVC process is, and then also the award, understanding a general bid due date here. So my observation is that, first off, I believe it's MVC practice to sign off on individual packages, DD, CD, before going out to bid. You can correct me if that's incorrect. So understanding this calendar and understanding that an award needs to be made here in order to complete this project before the onset of winter or before the onset of typical winter.
Right.
Our challenge here is our backs are very much up against a timeline, and either this project will or will not get done prior to the winter. So I had a thought. Just hear me out and tell me if you, we're just having a discussion here. There's nothing you're going to vote on. If we did this date and this date, understanding that you have a regular meeting on the 4th, we could review all the documents, make the presentation on the 4th, and then subject to any comments, feedback, or adjustments or modifications, we could handle MVC feedback via addendum between here and here, because there will be an addendum that's generally issued. So as a mechanism to maintain the schedule, we could give notice to Central Register, have it publicly noticed, and have a pre-bid meeting, and then address any MVC comments in this window right here. So that's just an idea.
And further, the last Wednesday in October is the 25th. So we could schedule a special meeting to act on the bids if the bids are in on the 20th.
Right.
So I'm going to mark some things in my calendar here. So the 4th is our regular meeting. Mason, the 18th would be the school meeting, right?
Is that that's the Wednesday,
That's
correct?
the third Wednesday.
Third Wednesday? I believe that's right.
So I'm going to mark down for the 25th for an MVC meeting, special meeting, in order to see if we can get a bid accepted on that date, so that that gives Mason a week to get the paperwork done, and the notice to proceed issuing shortly thereafter. So how does that sound to everybody?
Sounds good.
You said October 25th, correct?
Yeah, that would be our special meeting to we'll take care of any business that's appropriate that night, but clearly getting bid results and making a recommendation to the mayor to award a bid. That would give Mark 5 days to review the bids, review who the contractors are, make a recommendation.
Right, we have to go to DCAM, we have to get contractor evaluations, we'll check references, and then come to you with, the architect will
So
have to make that.
it's a very tight schedule, but I think it's imperative to get this done before the snow flies.
Well, this building has been leaking for quite some time. It's created other damages, and so it is an item that has been has suffered from deferred maintenance, and it really should get taken care of, and allowing it to not go through another winter in its current
Go through
condition.
another
is
winter,
beneficial.
and A, the price will go up in the spring, and B, there will
Right.
be more damage to fix.
Exactly. And this project does not address any interior issues. That's being handled, I guess, out of operational funds for ceiling tiles and other water cleanup, but it will stop the issues.
So if that schedule works, then I think what we need to do next is to understand what they're proposing to do over there.
Right.
Are there pictures or things in this submittal that are helpful to you?
Certainly. If you wanted to go to, let me just go to, have you go to sheet number, how about if we just go to,
I also want everyone to be mindful of the fact that the Conservation Commission thinks they're more important than us and have this room at 6:30.
so on page 11,
We know that's not true, of course.
They're not televised.
Okay, so on conclusions and recommendations, the existing building has 4 different roofs, one over the elevator, one over a stairway, one over the low roof, and one over the main roof, the big high roof. So the low roof is a ballasted roof on a concrete deck. And so we have to treat the concrete deck similarly but slightly different than the wood deck. So the goal of this 7,327 square foot plus or minus project is to remove all the existing roof components right down to the existing substrate, which is either concrete or wood deck. Then they're going to apply 2 different scenarios, but I'll just speak in generalities, if that's okay, since it's not really, you're not having a vote on this. So on top of the deck is going to be a vapor barrier, a rigid board, insulation, tapered insulation, and then the EPDM roofing, the .060 EPDM black rubber roofing. And that's the recommendation here. A 60 mil adhered non-reinforced EPDM membrane system with flat and tapered insulation, roof board, self-adherent vapor barrier in order to comply with the Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code, which is 31.25. I will tell you that the Massachusetts Energy Code is absolutely the most strict energy code in the United States of America. And it was adopted as of July 1, 2023, that required this to be elevated to its current condition. And if you were building the high school right now, you would have to triple glaze all your windows because they really, really upgraded the entire building envelope. So what they would ask for an approval is they evaluated and went through a study in your package, and they looked at TPO, which is a different type of thermoplastic roofing top, like you have on the high school, EPDM, and a variety of other. They looked at colors, they looked at this, they looked at that, they looked at the heat gain, they looked at light reflectivity, they looked at a variety of factors, and because EPDM black 060 or 60 mil is this industry standard in this neck of the woods, it's a reasonable recommendation, and it's also very cost effective for you. Still give you your 20, 25 year normal lifespan in operation. There's not much traffic up on that roof or on those roofs. There's one real main mechanical unit. I did have a conversation with someone regarding a grant about the replacement of the mechanical system at some future point, And the roofing system will be and is currently designed and will be executed so that you could do a plunk and a dunk, meaning take the old unit off, pop a new unit in, use the same curve, and then reflash it. So the roofing system that is being proposed and the installation practices and techniques are suitable for appropriate replacement of the old inefficient or past its useful life mechanical system with the direct replacement. The one big challenge on this project is the high roof. The police department has 911 antennas. They have other monopoles, and they have an array of communication equipment up there. We can't. This is 24/7, 365 building. So the project, when they come to do the high bay roof, whether it's the demo or the replacement, we're going to need the city's vendor for the police department, for the antennas, and we may have to have some sort of really good communication with adjacent cities who do coverage when and as needed. Because I can foresee for about 4 to 8 hours on 2 days where E911 service may have to be transferred to another community and then sent to Attleboro. So we're gonna have to have some very, very close coordination on the communication aspects of it. The architect is very much aware of this, because I made him aware of it, and I told them that we needed to very clearly and succinctly state that, you know, this is an active police station. It's 24/7, 365. We spoke heavily about the communication and the communication that will be necessary between architect, contractor, the city, the police department, and other communities, and that no activity can occur without at least 48 or 72 hours prior advance notification when it came to communications. So these are some of the nuanced communication strategies that we're employing in relative to the roof replacement of this critical infrastructure for the city. So in general, this is the project.
Okay. Do we have a picture we can see?
Well, there are some photographs of the existing conditions. Why don't you just scroll down to like page 30 or so? Okay, so here's the building where this is the low roof, that's the high roof. You can't really see the antennas here. And then we have one other small roof right here and one other small roof right there. You can scroll down. And there's a ladder over here, and that ladder needs to be improved. Also, because it's within 10 feet of the roof edge here and here, we're going to need to add some new ladders, those or safety rails, and the ladder gets a slight improvement. You can keep going. So this is the stone ballasted low roof. All that stone is going to get vacuum sucked off. All the rubberized membrane underneath it will be removed, and the roof elevation is actually going to increase. So all of these reglets and all of this flashing and counter flashing is actually going to be lifted up, and it's going to be a little bit higher, but you have plenty of distance between your windows, because the insulation here is now about 11 inches up against the building in order to comply with that stretch energy code.
And then we'll be, tilting this towards roof drains? Is that the?
That's exactly right. I'll show you that when we get to the drawings.
Yeah.
So this is your E911 antenna right actually, I think they're standing over here, but that's one monopole. There's another antenna here. There's small antennas there, and then the E911 heads off in a different direction. So that's at the roof ladder. Really nothing there. Keep going. Different conditions. So the existing roof obviously is age deteriorated. Seams are peeling off, leaking, etc. And at the roof edge, lots of decay, deterioration. Just keep going. And so there are multiple parapet wall conditions. This is a flashing, a metal flashing over it. All this is going to all be replaced. But on other parts, over the main entry, that whole area where the chief's office is, where you walk in through the front door, we have that beautiful radius where you have that. There's another elevation of it. That's a stone cap instead of a metal covered cap, and those and the joints in between the stone are actually open. The caulking, the mortar, the different grout material, mortar grout, has deteriorated. So we are getting definitely water in through the parapet wall and the coping at the top.
So it's not just the roof that's got problems.
Right,
it's-
but the project goes basically from that edge all the way down in all the roofing, so it's a system.
Okay.
We're addressing the roof edge as well as the roof.
What kind of warranty are we looking at on the roofing material?
Well, I haven't seen the specification that they're doing. When we did the fire station roofs, we got a 10-year warranty from the manufacturer, the 1-year all-encompassing warranty. They offered us for an additional fee to go beyond that, to extend that warranty either 5 more years or 10 more years. But those weren't, in the conversation with the structural engineer and with all the registered roofing consultants and all the different consultants, what we discovered was if that we have a wind event that exceeds 75 miles an hour, basically any hurricane, the warranty then becomes void for the extensions. So it's de minimis, or it was recommended that we not pay for the additional additive years on the warranty because weather conditions would void that warranty extension.
There's another reason too. We hope to knock these buildings down.
That's another reason.
Don't know when that's gonna happen.
Okay,
We're
so-
doing a feasibility
Want me to
study.
keep going down?
But, you know, you don't wanna buy a 25-year warranty on a building you hope to knock down in
Exactly.
town.
So they're also gonna replace all the roof drain boots and all the stuff there. These are cast iron there. Down in the lower level, in the men's locker room or the officer's locker room, I don't think they have 2 of them, but in the locker room, there is one elbow that is the collar around it is leaking. These documents talk about replacing the collar as well. So very comprehensively, we looked at this building and we're addressing all the roof and building envelope issues other than, repointing or other than the brick and the masonry.
So this won't solve that problem of repointing the bricks. That's another
That's
project.
correct. That's a different.
Another project for another day.
Right, and I will say, and there's a really good valid reason for that. This project will likely be done by a DCAM certified roofer, who is also a general contractor. If we were to add masonry scope to it, we would have probably taken it over the 1.5 million, in which case the city would have incurred additional costs for full-blown OPM services, but you also would have had additional file sub-bids, and the project timeline would have been delayed. So it makes sense to treat them individually rather than treat the building holistically.
Do we have enough room on site for lay-down areas for the contractor to work?
They owe us a site logistics plan. The back truck will come in and suck it all out with coordination up against the building. The roofing material, like the insulation, can be loaded and stored on the roof itself. When we did the Briggs Corner and when we did the headquarters, pretty much all the material was loaded directly onto the roof. And this laid-down storage area was de minimis. It was very small and it was only short-lived. We had more problems with contractor parking, which is less of a problem here because you have a municipal lot in other places. So keep going. So this is that stone cap that you can see the open joints. And they're also going to reseal the windows on that low roof area, so we don't have to get somebody back there. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, let's go to the drawings. I think you've seen just about all the so these were some of the test cuts that were done. They took several on each of the different areas. We also tested for hazardous materials, and all tests came back negative, which was a positive.
Good.
Keep going. We're short on time. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Oh, that's some of the leaks inside the building. Oh, keep going. Oh, well, okay, so this is the budget that they came up with.
Yeah, that was the next question.
Okay, so on the budget, I did a back of the napkin. So between all the soft costs on the project and the hard costs that were listed here, and adding a 10+% contingency onto the construction, the total project cost will not exceed $540,000. My understanding from Mason is that we have an approval, or will have, $551,000. So we'll have a small contingency listed within this concept budget. We'll have the 10% construction contingency that someone in as an OPM, if I was serving in that role, would apply that. And then you've got another, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 cushion, and all the money that is unspent will just be disencumbered or unencumbered in the future and go back to other capital projects. And also, we've got a number of allowances that are being designed into here, or unit prices, where they're carrying 500 square feet for wood deck that's deteriorated, if there is. If not, we get that credit back. There's X number of feet of wood blocking. If that is not deteriorated, we'll be getting that back. So those unit prices will be listed as an add and a deduct should we get that credit back, should they not have to use that lineal footage or square footage. So I think the budget at this point is in good shape.
We have or will have money.
So last night, the council approved a transfer from the capital reserve fund as well as 2 transfers from past projects, which was equated to an additional $331,000 for this project. Essentially, based on what we have encumbered so far, thus far we have about $450,000 available for construction. That's obviously we've added a little bit extra contingency, as Mark said. Projects been coming in pretty high, so we wanted to add a little bit of additional contingency there to plan for.
So we're good to go.
We're feeling pretty confident.
We're feeling good. I'm feeling good.
And building permit fees were also waived last night, so that'll officially be
Another good thing.
yes. Officially, those will be officially recognized by the mayor's signature, hopefully in the next couple of days. So.
And if you want to go to the drawings very, very quickly, I'll show you the sheets. Okay, one page down, sheet. Okay, so what they did was they documented the existing roof composition with your concrete deck and your wood deck over here, and they documented what has to be removed. Now, in roof area 1 and 3 and 2 and 4, we've got the wood deck on this one, and we've got the concrete deck here, and you can see that the thermal barrier is here versus elsewhere in here, the cover board. So the wood deck has a slightly different installation process where the vapor barrier is on top of the thermal barrier board, as opposed which smooths out the wood deck, which is the right thing to do. As you can see, the insulation is very thick here. It will be tapered down with the EPDM and the high density board. So we are, through general notes, making additional requirements in addition to the specifications, talking about the 24/7, 365 nature of this building. You can go to the next sheet. Okay, so this is a plan view looking down. It's showing you how the roof, they're showing where the roof drains are and where other, and this is the new walk pads to the air conditioning unit, the walk pad to this over here. And you can scroll down to the next one for the, this is how the roof is being tapered to the roof drains. This is how the water is going to flow in each of these different areas to get them to roof drains and to get the water off the roof. Just pipe flashing details, miscellaneous details. This is at the building edge, and just general details. You can keep going. I want to get to, we had some comments on these details, and they liked our comments. So this is the new insulation, the new reglet walls, and all that. So they have addressed all the building-specific issues in this DD set, and I think that they're in good shape moving forward.
So when we're able to take a vote, you're recommending that we vote in the affirmative?
For the DD set, absolutely.
Okay, and I just want to say, Mark, this has been an excellent presentation, and who needs Andy and Rich?
Thank you. You can go to the next sheet. We do have, because of the new roof area, there is going to be an area where there's not, at that low roof area, it's not a lot of room. So we're building it up in order to keep the water on it so it doesn't cascade down the face of the brick. Keep going. Actually go back one sheet. So this is the satellite-based details and some of the details for the towers and other things. This is where we're gonna have to take off and put back very, very quickly and have temporary allowance. But that 911 antenna, if it's off like 2 degrees, it's not, the signals aren't going the way that they need to. It has to be very specifically oriented. So it's not like you can pick it up, hold it while somebody did something, you know, it has to be in a specific direction. So these are some of the details that they have identified and addressed. Go to the next sheet. Just miscellaneous questions, but we've got a door that we are going to redo over there. So again, it's a very comprehensive package to address all the roof-related items. Is that the last sheet? That's the last sheet. Okay, great. So in general, it's a good package for DD, and I would had you had a quorum and had they been here, I would have said after they put on their dog and pony show. I would have said, if asked, yes, I recommend moving to accepting these as a suitable package.
Okay. Excellent. So, make some notes here. And maybe, let's see.
Oh, damn, missed it by 1 minute.
So, any questions, commission members?
No.
Just a quick one. You said near the chief's office, the mortar was missing. That is involved in this project, correct? Fixing that.
Yes, we are capping all of that existing stone wall, that existing stone parapet cover, with new metal flashing, so that the entire perimeter of the roof edge has new material. And it's actually going to be built up through some of these details. Look, see this? We're actually building it up as necessary in order to, because of the new thickness of the insulation. So yes, and because it tapers towards the middle, the perimeter is actually much higher than the center because it's sloped at 1/4 inch per foot.
Okay.
Any other questions? Jay?
No.
Jerry?
No.
All right, then.
I love spending time on roofs, not in the summer.
So, I think if we could take a vote, then we would. But we do have a number of bills here on the list that relate to the police roof. So we have a Socotec bill for $14,750. If we could vote on it, would Mason, would you and Mark be recommending that?
I would.
And then we have 3 bills for Mark, and Mason, you will be recommending those at the appropriate time?
Absolutely.
And so I can sign all of those tonight because I have the authority to, and then if we pick up a meeting next week or whenever we next have a meeting, we can vote to ratify.
And Mason, would you need any of my signatures on any of those?
Should be good to go. You had
Sometimes they ask me to verify the.
usually only on applications for payment.
That's fine.
Potentially.
Okay.
So from a
All right,
insurance
good,
contract.
excellent. So I think that, unless there's any other questions, I think we can thank you. And we may, if we do this next week, would you be here in person or would you want to be Zooming?
I'd love to Zoom.
Okay, if we have the meeting next week, we'll make sure that you can be remote.
Okay, and if I can be here, I will. I just have to double check my calendar to make sure that I would be available.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you. And by the way, before I go, I want to say, the reason I love working with the city of Attleboro, in addition to the MDC being a high-functioning team, everyone in City Hall, it truly is a pleasure to work with,
Including Mason?
What I want to say is, working with the police department, working with the team that you hired, this is really a high-functioning team that has come together for the benefit of the city, the benefit of your constituents, and the city as a whole. I'm very thrilled to have the opportunity to work with such a. I've worked in other municipalities where it's not, and I'm not going to say which ones, but I just want to say I enjoy working with Attleboro because you truly are a high-functioning team.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate what you do for us, and Rusavar has not let us down in the past, so glad to see that with you working with them that we've put together a good package. So, so thank you.
Thank you.
And that means that Ann Jeanette, you're up to bat.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Good evening.
We've got 25 minutes.
I can do it. I can do it. I'm confident that I
We
can do
know
it.
you can.
Sure.
You can feel free to start speaking while he pulls up your presentation.
So, I know the last time we were here to present, they hadn't started the roofing yet, and I sensed there was a little concern. And I'm just here to reassure you that they hit the ground running. Bob's been on site, I think, over the course of 2 weeks. They've worked every Saturday, Sunday. They also worked this past Monday. Bob had 90 hours one week. They're doing 10, 12-hour days. They're doing a great job. They've been providing the manpower as necessary. We've gotten positive feedback. All of the work, the quality of the work has been exceptional. Any issues we've been addressing immediately. And so I just wanted to show you what we've been doing. So this is just, the cover sheet. There's your school. And so how we structured this was we had the roofer show us the way in which he intended to move around the building in the different roof areas. And this gave us an opportunity to use this so Bob could every single day in his daily report check off which roof area it was and the work that was complete. So this is just, like I said, it's just the key plan. It just shows us how they're going to move around the work site. Okay, if you go to the next slide. And so again, back to what I was just saying, we have the drawings. Bob does little snippets, and those are in our reports, and so we can see what was done. He also, if you see the where it says roof area 2, that little bubble there where it says patch, we also have unit prices. So that was an area where they had to patch the sheathing. So that was all documented as well. So then we just have some pictures. These guys went up there, they stripped everything, and they just stripped from the top down. Everything went into that big bucket there, and then they loaded the ridge line with all the shingles, and they just started and slid them right down. It was amazing to see them work. You can do the next one.
Are they tied on? They look like they're just standing up there.
I believe, yes, they are tied off. They were tied off. I have been up there. You can see one of the lanyards up there off the top of the roof there. Yeah. They are, this, I can see the one that you're saying, this guy right here.
You were OSHA compliant is what you're saying.
What's that?
We were OSHA compliant.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yep. And Bob's been there. And I personally have been there, especially when they were doing the shingling from the top there. So this is them just stripping the roof. They have the picture over on the top left-hand side there. That's them prepping the cupola for paint. And then we move down again. This is another area. They're stripping the roof. The one in the lower right-hand corner just shows how they protected. That's the entry for the faculty and staff that were working. So we had them tarp everything off so that as they were working, any debris would come down into one location, should anybody happen to walk out. So they've been very mindful of all of the activities during the day. You can go to the next slide.
Before you
Yes.
change that, I just want to point out to the group that you see in the lower left corner, there's a chimney, and that's going to be something we'll be discussing.
It is something that we'll be discussing.
And also you can see how far in the air the gutters are off the ground, which is also something we will be discussing.
Correct. So I have another slide that shows the gutters. Okay. So if we want to talk about the chimney, we did
You don't have to. You can keep going your presentation.
Right.
I just wanted everybody,
Sure.
because they were nice
That's
pictures
the chimney,
to see
yes,
that.
yes, for sure. So go ahead, Mason. And then part of the scope of work was to blow in insulation to meet the R value. And so what they've done is they've blown it on the floor. So this is just a Bob captured a picture of the insulation installer blowing it in there. He actually had a video I was trying to upload, but I'm not that, I need someone under 30 to do that for me.
So was he wearing a Ghostbuster suit there?
Yeah, it looks like it, yeah. And then again, we have the roofers here over on the right-hand side, and they just go. And then on the left-hand side, that is the painter up in the lift there, and he's actually painting the rake. So we've had multiple, trades on site working simultaneously, and there's been no problems. They've been sharing the lift if they need to, but everything's been going very, very well. You want to go to the next one? And then this is on the, there's two different kinds of roof. There was the asphalt shingle roof, and then they had this little flat roof, which was an EPDM. So that's the EPDM roof and that little flat space. And then the top right-hand picture, that is over the gymnasium. And again, that's how they've tarped everything off and they've stripped it all. If we look down at the lower left-hand corner, that's the counter flashing. The flashing right there, you can see it kind of behind. Right here, I wish I had one of those pointers right there. That's getting installed at all of the dormers. And then on the lower left-hand side, they ended up having to, on two of the roofs, it was realized that there was no ridge vent, that actually the decking ran right up and they butted right against each other. So they actually had to go in there and they had to saw cut a ridge vent the whole length of the roof. So that work has been completed. Bob was up there, took a look at it. We took pictures, sent it over to Socotec, had everybody's blessing, and they roofed right over it when they were done. So if we go to
A change order then that we needed to do, that was included?
that
in
was
the scope?
included, they owned it. They owned it. They weren't sure how to do it, and during the course of discussion, it was, it's means and methods. It's in the contract documents, and so they came up with a method to complete the work. They, asked Bob. They threw it to Socotec, and everybody agreed that it was acceptable, and so the work has been completed to the satisfaction of everyone.
Always amazing when you take a building, and this building basically was rebuilt in 92 or 93, and yet there were a whole bunch of things we found when we got into it, right?
For sure. Yep. And then, so they've started. They're putting in the copper gutters, and so what they do is they have a machine in the back of the trailer over on the right there, and it's got a roll of copper, and it just rolls it out, and it bends it into the exact shape that it needs to be. And then you can, it's a terrible picture, but you can see, hopefully, down here, you can see where it's all been installed. So it's all installed here, and all of the gutters are being replaced down there. Oh, this one here I wanted to show you too. What we did before we replaced the gutters is they jetted out the existing downspouts to make sure that there was no obstructions. Everything was clear. And that was done right before they started installing all of the gutters. So you can go ahead, Mason, with the next one. So the remaining work is they just need to complete the gutters, gutter guards, and tie in the downspouts. The gutter guards is, it's a change order, and it came about when they were actually taking the old gutters down. They said, oh my gosh, these things are full of bees nests and debris and balls and all this other kind of junk. And so Jason Parenteau happened to be there and mentioned that it's been an ongoing issue for them to keep those gutters clean. And it's a tremendous expense to have a company come out to do the work, but if you look at how high these roofs are, he's not comfortable having any of his employees go up there and cleaning out the gutters themselves. So we reviewed the submission that was made by JD&D. Bob and I reviewed it, Socotec reviewed it. We feel like the pricing was spot on. They have actually, as they're installing the gutters now, they're also installing these gutter guards. They were able to procure some of the materials. So as they're installing it, it's the gutter itself, and then the gutter guards are going right in place.
So if we could take a vote.
If you could take a vote.
We would be asked to act on change order number 1, which is to approve the installation of these gutter guards, which is how much money, Mason?
So the total effect of the change order would be $41,343.24, bringing the contract with JD&D to a total figure of $787,343.24. And I will just say that, I think there's a lot of savings down the road from actually enacting this change order.
These things will pay for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Every year, Jason doesn't have to hire somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a direct savings to the school department, so I think I think it's important there, just on the maintenance costs.
Yeah. So, truth be told, I told the contractor and Mason and the architects that they should go ahead and do this while they were up there. because I could not believe that we would turn this down. It makes so much sense to spend that extra 41,000 and keep those gutters clean and functioning and not have Jason have to hire a contractor to go up there. So I made the executive decision, and I assumed you all would feel that that was appropriate. And actually, in some late-breaking news, since the school department agreed that we should today, that rather than having them continue to work on weekends, that we should have them just work for the next, 3-4 days to finish the project, right?
So, the remaining work is listed there. There's some wood siding at the dormers and cupolas that have to be completed. Some of the painting has to be completed at these areas and behind the, where the gutters go. And then the heat trace, which is the snow melt system, also has to be installed. So the percentage complete, the roofing's 99% complete, the insulation 98% complete. There's one little area that we discussed last week that we just need to get final approval by Socotec. Gutters are 75% complete, painting 80%. The louvers, they haven't been started because they are back ordered. And so we actually had on the agenda, they had requested an extension for their contract because the materials weren't available for them to install.
You and Socotec both recommend the
100%, 100%. This is of no fault of
If we could
theirs.
vote, we'd be asked to vote on that
If you could
extension.
vote, we would, we would recommend for sure. And then the wood siding hasn't been started either. And so what I had Bob do is I had him on the lower left picture here show the actual work, less the louvers and the heat trace that needs to be completed. And he also provided details as to which tools would be used to secure the gutters, the siding and whatnot. And the reason for that was to sort of measure how much of an interruption it would be during the academic, period of the day while they're working. So they had requested if they could just continue to work Saturday, just work. Actually, they'll be back Saturday, so this would be next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that they intend to work to get the rest of this work completed. It would save them from coming back and doing, a Saturday and a Sunday, and what if it rains? You know what I mean? So we have good weather projected, so they're hoping to get out here and knock all of that out, and then only have to come back and just do the louvers.
And the mayor and the school superintendent and the principal all agreed.
So exactly right. So we reached out to Mason and Mark, and Superintendent Sawyer wholeheartedly agreed that he'd rather see this little bit of an interruption than keep, just keep prolonging the work. So so that's where we're at, and we're hoping by next Wednesday that we'll have it substantially complete. And again, just a few little items left. And I also want to make it, just noted that we, Skanska, Bob, any work that they do there, we are present for. So the work that's going to happen during the academic period will be there, 100%. Jerry,
Okay.
do you have a question? Okay.
No, I was just gonna say that there's an application number 1 for $482,600, and you'd be recommending that?
Yes, 100.
And also Socotec wants 17.2, and that's okay?
That's correct.
And
And that was
Mason,
for
you're-
their, they had actually, that's for their design,
Yeah,
and then their construction administration, yes,
through July.
yes.
And then Mason, you're satisfied with the Skanska bill through July 23rd?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I can sign those, and then we will go ahead and confirm them later. And while I'm at it, the only thing that's left are the 2 feasibility studies, and you're okay with those, Mason?
I am, yes.
Okay, good. So then, we would be acting on a request for a time extension. We would be acting on the change order for the gutter guards.
That's correct.
And then that leaves us with a policy direction we need from the mayor, but if
That's
you can
correct.
briefly, because we still have about 10 minutes left,
Show me.
just tell us that, where we are with the windows and the
Sure.
walls and the rest of that stuff.
So the window walls were actually part of this original bid package, and we fully intended to have that be part of the design and capture all of those costs within the amount of money that was budgeted for this project. So as we were, I believe the original investigation was done of the building condition and whatnot, that was done 2 years ago. It was some time ago. So once we got back in there, we started looking, we realized that there was more items that needed to be addressed sooner rather than later. The conditions don't improve over time, they get worse over time. So Socotec came back, they did a full survey of the windows, the doors, and we asked them to make a recommendation as to, what should be done, and list them by priority. And as we were doing that, the roofer had come to us and said when he had roofed around that chimney that Jack mentioned, he noticed that it was in poor condition. It had originally been on the list of items to just be repointed. After further discussion, we're not sure that it's even functional, so maybe the option is to take it down. Again, we still have to confirm that information. The other thing that came up was the two metal cupolas. They're actually used for venting. We believe one of them was used for the old HVAC system. We're not sure if that's still active. We think one of them is just for like a vent pipe from one of the toilet rooms. If that's the case, then perhaps instead of keeping them in place, they're also in poor condition. Maybe it's better just to remove them and come up with a better solution for the vent pipes. So they actually did, I thought, a very well-defined multiple phases where they made recommendation as to what they saw as being the most important. And then, the associated costs for those things. There are a couple of metal doors, especially down at the lower levels, that are in very, very poor condition. So we're just waiting now to, Mason has the information requested to present to the mayor and to see how we'll proceed.
So what we own with Socotec
Yes.
is the window wall.
Yep.
But because of the lead time with the windows, we
Right.
didn't want to jeopardize the roofing project.
Right.
So if that's next summer, that's next summer. If
Right.
it's next spring during, whatever. But, so one thing that we'll be looking at is, do we just do that?
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is, do we do a bit more than that? And then another one is, do we do the whole building?
That's right.
And obviously, the $2 million bond that we have, we've got how much left in it?
Essentially, after all of our
Yeah.
hard costs and soft costs built in, we're looking at about a little over 1.1 million remaining for construction of that bond authorization. Again, that bond authorization, the language is pretty specific to the roof and window repairs. So there's some components that Socotec's identified and recommended that should be repaired that aren't really comprehended in that loan authorization. So that's another consideration.
So we need to figure out what to do, when to do it, and how to pay for it, but other than that, everything's good.
Yes, yes.
Angela, is
Yes.
that chimney still being used?
I don't think so. That is one of the things that we're looking at, and in fact, if it's not being used and they choose to take it down, it'll actually free up some storage space within the building.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for confirmation on that as well.
Yeah, repointing that chimney, if it serves no purpose.
It'd be a total waste of money.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
100%. Yep.
And it's, I don't think it detracts from the look of the building if that
You see
chimney
it.
comes down. It's, the historic part is the kind of stuff we're looking at here rather than that chimney. So, I know that the Conservation Commission is anxious to get going. Anything else you need to report to us?
No, just let me if we're going to reschedule the meeting for a vote or whatever, and
Yeah.
we're available.
So we may be meeting on the 13th, we may be meeting on the 27th, we will be meeting on the 4th of October and the 25th of October.
Okay.
But Mason's gonna figure everything out.
Sure.
So that.
And I will just say, for the record, the roof looks fantastic. I'd recommend anyone to go by and see. It's it looks really good.
And the
JD&D
gutters.
has done a great
And the
job. And the
gutters.
gutters as well.
Look great.
Yeah, but, you know, this is just another example of the things we've been preaching for a while, which is that, you know, I think the school department does a great job of maintenance, of regular maintenance of the buildings. But when it comes to these long-term things like repointing bricks and replacing roofs and that sort of stuff, that's the stuff that doesn't happen, and that's what we are trying to address in looking at our future plans and looking at our buildings, and coming up with 20-year budgets rather than 5-year budgets. So, in any event, anybody have anything else? Then I think a motion to adjourn at 6:25 is in order.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Okay.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Conservation Commission.